How's it hanging, YouTube's Peter here, your Ginger Geordie Geek. Welcome to Triple J Comics. And tonight we're going to be talking about Morbius, a film I'm hoping some of you in the chat have seen and can give us some of your views and thoughts. It's not just going to be me talking. I've got an esteemed panel with us tonight. So first off the bat, we have got Luke. How are you doing, mate?
First off the bat, I got it.
Hey, see, I didn't know that you've got the teeth in as well. So how are you, Luke?
I'm an ex-special effects artist, all right? I got to have the teeth.
Gotta have the fangs. Now, Luke, you haven't actually seen the film. Let's just get that out of the way with.
No, I have not seen the film. I am here to referee and make sure that everyone plays nicely.
Excellent. And you're going to be my expert to call back on if we need some things clarifying.
Yeah, I'm going to do my best.
Tremendous. Next, we've got one of my favourite YouTubers. Jason, how are you doing, mate?
Hang on, when you said that then, I thought it's got to be Ben, doesn't it? Can't be me. Hello, you right?
How are you doing? Are you well?
I'm good, mate, yeah. Thank you very much for having me back on. It's greatly appreciated, and I can't wait for us all to get stuck in and talking about the M word.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting one, this. So, last but not least, oh, my Lord. We've got Morbius himself. Welcome, Morbius. How are you doing?
You woke me up. You bloody woke me up. By the way, Luke, I didn't know you were wearing your bloody 200-pound fangs, and I'm sat here with these bloody little bits of toothpaste.
Sorry, should I take them out?
Unbelievable. Show me up.
Did they seriously cost you £200?
No, I make them.
You made them.
For £200.
I sell them for £200.
Yeah, exactly. There it is, guys. I feel a bit nauseous, so if you could just bear with me. Whoa!
Very smooth. That was very smooth.
What I let myself in for?
Oh, yeah. This is going to be interesting. So, James T. Keegan would have loved to have been here tonight, but we didn't invite him. So we'll just crack on and we'll just move straight on without him. Eh?
Rest in peace.
No, James, unfortunately, he's been waylaid at work, so he may join us at some point. He may just appear on screen. So, guys, first of all, quickly jump to the chat. I bet you can't guess who's in the chat. Take a wild guess.
Well, it's got to be
StreamYard.
Not StreamYard. No, StreamYard's not in mine.
It's got to be our two favourite people, right?
There it is.
That's StreamYard. Yeah.
StreamYard.
We, of course, have got Fuzzy. Fuzzy, we've got to get you on screen. We've got to get you on screen sometime. And
Definitely.
We've also got good old JP. Pete, did you not get to see the movie?
Pete.
What, you're going to try and see the film? So we've got the usual gang. So welcome, guys. Let's just crack straight on. We're here tonight to talk about Morbius. Yeah. Okay. So before we go any further, it's worth saying that there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film yet, I mean, you can still just watch, to be honest. I doubt you're going to see it if you haven't seen it at this point. But we will be doing some spoilers. Now, Morbius who? I didn't know a massive amount about Morbius before we saw the movie. But I know a man who's going to work for his money tonight, and that's Luke. So, Luke, do you want to tell a little bit of backstory about Morbius?
Yeah, so Morbius first appears in Amazing Spider-Man, issue 101, one of my favourite covers of all time. And yeah, basically he is the living vampire. So a little bit of history with the comics code and everything. They couldn't really do a lot regarding the vampires and the undead. So being a living vampire and made through science made this a much more suitable creation for Marvel to go ahead and do. Now, a lot of people probably know Morbius from the animated series in 1994, where they made some drastic changes to his character. They had him like feeding from the palm of his hand instead of using his teeth and everything else. But no, in the comics, I mean, he is literally a living vampire. You know, he goes around, he drinks blood. He's actually the reason that Blade has a lot of his similar traits. So when the film Blade came out in 98, they very much changed that character and gave him all these supernatural powers. And so the comics had to compensate by that by releasing a number of issues of, I think, Morbius the Living Vampire, where the two would cross over and meet. And so therefore it was after Morbius bit Blade that Blade actually started to gain some of these more supernatural powers, because prior to that he was pretty much just a person. He was a human vampire hunter. Right. So yeah, Morbius has gone on. He's had a couple of different volumes of comics. There's been the most recent one, which we've had some stunning covers for. And yeah, he's part of the supernatural element to Marvel with the Midnight Suns and other characters. So who knows? Maybe it could go somewhere in the future. It all depends how well this film did.
Yeah. Let's bloody hope not.
Thank you very much for that, Luke. So my introduction to Morbius was that central cover there, because that was right around the time I was really reading regular comic books, and it was an excellent series tied in with the Midnight Suns books at the time. And that drastic change to his... What are you laughing at, Crampton? What are you laughing at?
Nothing. Fuzzy's piping up in the chat.
Get on with it. So that costume was the one that I particularly liked. You guys, have you read much Morbius?
Not huge amounts. I read there was a run, if I'm not mistaken, it's probably about 6 years ago. So it was it wasn't that 90s, one in the middle there, and it wasn't that one on the far right. But I think it was when Marvel were doing the Marvel Now thing.
Yeah.
So I remember reading that and particularly kind of enjoying it. But to be honest, all of my kind of knowledge and memories of Morbius is from the 90s cartoon.
Yeah.
And the stories that they told within that. So yeah, obviously, the sort of first appearance and stuff, everyone remembers as well.
What about you, Jason? You read much?
Not a lot, mate. And I got to be honest with you, I was rather surprised when they made the announcement they're going to do a Morbius movie.
Yeah.
Because I thought, which direction are they going in here? I mean, he's not that well known. And he, like Ben says, he has been used before in the cartoon from the 90s. But, it's a bit of a departure, really, from the whole Spider-Man, the superhero
from everything.
Stuff. Well, we'll see, won't we? We'll see when we talk about our opinions.
So
I'm interested, Jason, because I'd heard that when they were casting Morbius, they'd actually considered you for the part after seeing some of your online footage. Tremendous. Tremendous, Jason. When did you do that? I mean, where did you find the app?
I was on Snapchat.
Was that growling sound at the end? Was that your belly rumbling?
I was hungry.
Can I just also throw out there as well a little bit of history for the Blade movie that I just mentioned. I don't know how many people know, but Morbius was meant to be the main bad guy for Blade 2 before they changed it to all the reefers and stuff. So that was going to be the whole idea, where this new genetically modified type of vampire would then start spreading amongst the population, and that was going to be the story for Blade 2 before it all got changed.
And I just have to say, Fuzzy and GP are talking in the chat there about the Blade movie. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think that was Blade 2 in particular. Blade 2 is tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. Just want to say hi to Jack. Nice to see you again. And also Brandon Looney Tunes fan 2000. Nice to see you.
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
Very good. Okie dokie. So I think we just need to get this over and done with before we're kind of crack on, because I think if our past shows have anything to go by, we don't always see eye to eye. So, Luke, I know you've not seen it. Jason and Ben, what I want you to do when Luke counts down from 3, I want you to give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, just so we know where we're all at with this movie. All right? Because I suspect we might not all be on eye to eye. So, Luke, give her a quick countdown, then thumbs up.
Okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, Ben, you're in for an 8.
And yet he's the one that chose to dress up.
Are you having me on?
No.
I really enjoyed it.
No, this is a piss take. Come on now.
It's not.
Come on, joke's over.
It's not.
Okay, it wasn't a great movie. It was a good movie.
It was an all right movie. Now,
It's
to
okay.
be fair, we've kept it quiet because I've not asked Jason what his view was, and you very clearly what yours was, and I've not told you what I thought of it. I enjoyed it. It wasn't fantastic, but it was a good movie.
I thought it was a great movie. Well, yes, I keep saying great. It's not a great movie.
No.
It's a good movie. It's good. Look, I went in with really low expectations, okay? Especially after seeing Venom 2, okay? Oh, Venom 2, this is all about. But, so my expectations were low, went in, and I came out an hour and 45 minutes later, which is a great running time, by the way, for a movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good. I'm glad it was over.
And I thought, you know what? That wasn't a bad movie.
Yeah.
I came out quite sort of
So Jason,
ecstatic about that.
Jason, I'm exactly with you. I sat there, and we'll get into this later on. I went with my wife, my 14-year-old, I had to think there, my 14-year-old son, and my parents, and I sat with my arms folded like a miserable git, waiting to hate this movie. And it got about half an hour in, and I looked along the line, so everybody was smiling. I thought, actually, you know what? This isn't bad. This is all right.
Yeah, I know.
I'm loving Ben's reaction to this.
I'm genuinely shocked.
Well, I think that, you know, I think sometimes that there are people who do hate on a movie because it's by Sony, right? And, you know, Sony have done some great movies. The Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. Well, 1 and 2. So Spider-Man 2 is not that bad when you consider other movies. But
I'm so glad you're here because I said the same thing to these guys the other day and I got torn into big time by James, but he's not here. So
yeah, well, forget James.
Ben actually looks like he's going to cry.
Yeah, and I you know, I did go in thinking the worst, but I came out thinking, what are people moaning about?
Yeah.
You know,
I'll tell you what I'm moaning about. Right, just to summarize, okay. This was one of
So I'm sorry, Ben. What were you saying?
I need a swig of my blood, okay, after that. Mother.
Yeah, so we'll get into this before. But
one of his Tic Tacs had come out.
It's got a choke on a tooth. I remember, I think I messaged Luke either after I'd seen it or just before I'd seen it. And he said there was going expecting, do you know those kind of 2000 superhero movies, like your Ghost Riders and your stuff like that, kind of go in with those level of expectations? And actually, it was like that kind of just a fun, not linked to a massive Marvel kind of framework, just a bit of a fun movie. I mean, Quizzy's mentioned there, sorry, about Venom. I thought it was far better than Venom, I have to say. Yeah. I didn't like Venom. I thought it was much better than Venom.
Fuzzy says I hate it and I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And I think this is some of the problem we have, isn't it? Is that a lot of people go in just hating things without really giving
people
a go. Really.
People like Ben, Jason, is what we're saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
People like Ben.
You haven't given me the chance to explain why I hate this film.
I did, but then your teeth fell out and you nearly died. I mean,
look, right. I'll summarize quickly now, and I know we're going to kind of get into the nitty gritty, but this for me was one of the most incoherent, lazily acted, kind of randomly edited. Like, you know, it felt like there were chunks missing. The action was unclear and forgetful. In terms of kind of creating lore, there was no real effort to kind of explain what was going on. The Jared Leto was like a plank of wood with fangs. It would be unforgettable if it wasn't so bad.
You're wrong. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty.
Well, I think Rotten Tomatoes and various cinema critiques will disagree with you, Peter. Unbelievable.
I'm not sure they will, Ben. Audience scores 70%.
Yeah.
As an outsider,
are you fudged that?
You literally walked into that. That was
You've edited that.
70%.
What the fuck's wrong with the world? 70%.
Did you see the same movie that we saw it?
As an outsider, my biggest concern with this movie, and like I say, I haven't seen it, so I don't know for certain. My biggest concern with this movie was the PG-13 rating. I happen to know that he has synthetic blood that is a blue color, and they want to try and avoid.
Yeah, but he doesn't just have synthetic blood. He has there is some blood, but then there's synthetic blood, and then there's.
I thought it was a 15 when I went in, mind. I'm sure the rating.
But
it said 15 at the beginning, and then you've got him slashing people's throats, nothing showing, and the person going, "Mate, you're right. He didn't even touch you."
Sorry, Luke. You've got your hand poised like you're trying to make a point.
So I just wanted to draw the attention to the World War Z movie with Brad Pitt, which also suffered a similar problem.
That was also shit.
It's a zombie film with very little blood, but it doesn't make it a bad movie. I can still watch that movie and enjoy it. It does. I think it might benefit from being a higher age rating where you can show a bit more gore and blood. And who knows, maybe we'll get like a special edition director's cut release or something that might have that.
Please.
I think there will be.
But that was my biggest concern. My biggest concern was doing a vampire movie where you couldn't show the true horror. Yeah. So again, as an outsider, I haven't seen it. I don't know.
So if we look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores there, 70% audience fresh.
I'm so shocked at that. Like I'm actually disgusted. Like I feel the same way that I felt when America voted for Trump and when we voted for Brexit. Like just disappointed in humanity by seeing that.
Disappointed in humanity. That should go on the next movie title, shouldn't it? It should be like the next, because there will be another one. You know, that disappointed in
tagline.
Yeah.
Please.
So I wasn't sure of this either myself, Ben, when I looked at it, to be honest, because I'd heard a lot of negativity about this film. So I did a little poll on the community tab on YouTube, and that's the results I got there. So 35% of responders thought it was utter poop, 24% thought it was all right, or meh, around 30% thought it was okay, 12% loved it.
Well,
so again, I think that's
6 people are idiots on that, then, in that case. I don't know the maths. That was a guess.
But again, it is split, isn't it? It is split. Okay, so I think what we've established is that this movie brings out different views in people. So what I want to do, instead of going through the movie scene by scene, I want to kind of just focus on some key bits. So we'll start off with looking at the cast. Ben's already given his view on Jared Leto. But we'll
come back to me though on that, because I'd like to go into more detail.
And I think I just want to say, and I'm imagining Jason may be the same, that I am not saying that this is a fantastic film. It's not a masterpiece. What I'm saying is I enjoyed it for what it is, but it does have problems, and I'll talk about them as we go through. Okay. Jared Leto. Jason.
Could you not find a picture of him in character?
Nah.
He's Jesus there, isn't he?
He's Jesus. Yeah.
Sexy Jesus.
Yeah. Jason, what did you think of Jared Leto's performance?
I thought he put in a good performance. And I know people hated Suicide Squad as well, but I think there are people that just don't like Jared Leto, isn't there? I thought he put in a good performance. He played the character well. He was sympathetic at times. He came across as being, at one point, does he turn good or bad? And I thought he portrayed both sides really well.
Yeah.
I thought he was good.
I agree. I think for me, and I'll come to Ben in a second. I think for me, I liked his portrayal. I thought he was believable as the character. The only thing, and I don't know if it's the writing or what, but it was quite jarring because I thought this. Do you know the scene in the where he took over the lab from the kind of the kids or whatever? That seemed to quite jarring with his character. He suddenly turned a bit nuts and kind of quite breaking people's hands and things.
Yeah.
So I found that a little bit strange. But in terms of his acting chops, I thought he was okay. Ben.
Now, I want to be clear. I've got nothing. I don't have any beef with Jared Leto. He's got beef with me, but that's a personal matter. He's an Oscar-winning, performer. He is an incredible actor. But this, for me, was one of the most bland leading kind of characters in a superhero film, potentially today, because you listed some of the, notoriously bad early noughties films like Ghost Rider, but at least,
Don't be
Johnny...
dissing Nick Cage.
I'm just saying, at least Nick Cage had, a kind of a persona and a definitive kind of like defining traits and something that goes, yeah, that's Ghost Rider, and even the Fantastic Four films, you go, yeah, that's Johnny Storm. They kind of had those traits, had those kind of mannerisms and things like that made you go, yeah, they are the character. Him as Dr. Morbius had nothing that would make me say, yeah, that was. And at the beginning, there was a potential for it because they have this whole thing where he's getting the Nobel Prize or whatever. And then again, another weird editing decision. They didn't show what happened. They just kind of suddenly spoke about it in the next scene, but apparently off screen he rejected the Nobel Prize and stuff. You have an opportunity there to kind of give him a speech or something where he's kind of making a bit of a Will Smith of himself and turning down the prize or whatever, and little moments like that could have happened throughout. But and also, like, as a kid, he's an asshole because he nicknames the new kid after a dead kid and then commits to that for the rest of that kid's life, right? So I'm like, okay, like maybe he's like, let's do this whole thing where he really is quite a bad person and go through that journey like Tony Stark does, like Thor does. But instead there was just nothing. There was just nothing. Like he really was a vampire because there was no soul.
Right. Have you finished?
I mean, to be fair, this show, I'm only thinking of an hour. So if we're going to go into this much depth, so I think what might be useful just for my personal enjoyment, really, is if we continue to vote throughout the show. So hands up if you liked Leto.
I like him as an actor.
Yeah, so that's 3 against 2.
Put your hand down, Luke.
Ben loses, is just to be clear. Okay, so moving on to next, we've got Matt Smith. Matt Smith, how it Ben? He was tremendous. He's tremendous in everything.
He's good. He's really good.
He played
my favourite Doctor.
He plays the bad guy. I don't think they actually call him the Hunger in it, but he's playing the character the Hunger from the comics, and he was great. No,
I thought his name was Milo.
Yeah, his name's Milo, but I think the character in the comics is Hunger, isn't it, or something?
Yeah, Hunger. Yeah. He played a really good part. Matt Smith. You can't go wrong, really.
I just again throwing something out there because Ben was saying about him being an arsehole and stuff like that. I think this is going to be something that the Sony villain films all are going to have in common, like even with Craven and everything else, because they've got to be painted as an anti-hero when it's their own movie, because they're only a villain when they're up against a bigger hero like Spider-Man, for example. So I think we're always going to suffer with that because you're going to see these bad points about these characters, but then also see them do what.
That's what I was saying, though. They didn't do it enough. They didn't do it enough with him. He wasn't bad enough. Like, they didn't commit to that idea. That's what I'm saying. Like, if anything, you look at...
He killed a load of people, mate, on a boat.
Yeah, but, like, they no, but they were framed before he does it. They were framed as these that was so random, that bit, because they were like they were caring, they were working for them, and he kind of comes in and like does this whole bad guy routine, and it's like, and like if they'd kind of added a sinister element, like it was like a sexual thing or something, it would have made sense. But it was because it was written by a toddler, it just came across like he was like, "Oh, I'm a bad guy," and so even him killing those people, they kind of deserved it because they were being villainous anyway.
I got the impression that they were being misogynistic, and he was just coming in, flexing and all this. She didn't like, told him to go, and then he didn't like it because he had his nose bone in a joint. And good writing.
So
I love Matt Smith, right? You know that the 11th Doctor is my favorite. I have uncomfortable feelings towards Matt Smith that I can't speak to my wife about, but I thought, there were moments of this where Matt is really kind of flexing his his acting skills, and he did the best that he could do with an awful script. Like, you look at some of those Doctor Who scripts, like that speech he does where he talking to the big glowing sun or whatever, and it's like, you give Matt Smith a fantastic script and he will give you the world. And here he was just trying so hard, and then there were moments where he was just being silly. And it just didn't fit in.
It was tremendous.
It was so jarring. Like, I was like, why are you swinging from like being normal to like completely murderous to silly, and then back again?
Would that not come from him losing his childhood due to this disease and him now gaining power?
Luke's not seen it and he gets it. So
no, that's all fine if you put in a line or something to explain that, but Luke's
explain though. That's the thing. I mean,
I'm basing this solely on the trailers.
I'm loving how
the film has been cut and edited heavily for running time purposes, clearly, because it's 1 hour 45. Like most movies now are running 2.5 hours, aren't they? Let's be fair, right? But I personally don't need so much exposition or hand holding. Even the bit with the Nobel when he turned it down, you did think of it. Oh, what happened there? But then it was explained, and so I didn't need to see that as such.
I agree. I do think, if I'm being honest, that there were some odd edits, and we'll get onto them in a little bit, I think. But I think for me, the Matt Smith character, the way I read it was, he's a guy who's struggled with his health all of his life, being ill, being unable to move around, and all that kind of stuff. And then he's now got this freedom. And there was I thought, brilliant scene where he's like dancing in the main room and he's doing a bit of a silly kind of ready to go out. I just thought, this is a guy who's finally cut loose. And it was hinted, wasn't it, that he wasn't a nice guy? Like, wasn't there a line about him being involved in debt with gangsters or something and things like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I picked up that he wasn't a nice bloke.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, like, some people get into gambling debt. It doesn't mean that they want to murder people overnight.
Some people get into debt by buying hot toys, don't they?
Anyway, chaps, moving on to the next character, Martine Bancroft, Adria Arjona. Not sure if I pronounced that name right. Jason, what did you think of her character?
I'll be honest with you. I thought she was largely forgettable.
I agree. Absolutely.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I see her on the screen here, and I'm trying to figure out who she is.
Yeah, I'm the same. And I mean, I'll come to you in a second, Ben. But going back to this whole editing thing, and again, I don't know if I just missed it, but I thought she was unconscious in hospital, and then the next thing she wasn't. And I don't know if I missed the bit where she got up and was all right or not. So that felt a bit weird. Ben, what did you think of her?
Yeah, she was as beige as they come. Very bland, poorly written. I can't even scorn the actress because she just had nothing. Yeah,
didn't have
nothing to do, nothing to work with.
Or maybe she did, and it's got edited out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Were-
well, yeah, there's that as well.
Were they too scared to make her the love interest? Was it one of those situations where?
Well, I mean,
As she was,
it
like,
was the
you
love
know, it
interest.
was
It wasn't
kissed
a
and
very
all that
passionate
shit.
love, was it?
It just
And then
didn't
there
make
was-
sense. Like, it didn't make it felt like it
And then there's the bizarre bit at the end where she's opening her eyes, and I'm assuming she's now a vampire.
Yeah, well, in the comics, she goes on to become a villain because she's technically like the first, dead vampire, whereas he's like a living vampire.
Yeah.
So she kind of holds that against him, and so potentially, oh please, Jesus, no! But if they do a sequel, then she could well be a villain.
I'm all in on a sequel, me. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh dear. I'm saying oh dear because I have to say I'm just going to declare it now. I cannot stand Tyrese Gibson at all. The man gets right in my.
I struggle with him a little bit. To be honest.
Can't stand that coat that he's wearing in that picture.
An animal.
So him and the other guy, the Al Mandrigal, I think he's called, the two police. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know what the purpose of them was.
No.
But there was this whole subplot apparently because there was like a mechanical arm.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrese kind of character mentions that he's like lost his arm, and if you look in the background of one of the shots, there is like a mechanical arm that's being worked on in the lab next to the bats naturally.
Yeah.
I think there was this. I think a lot of their stuff was edited out. But yeah, they didn't serve any purpose to kind of drive the story. The performances felt very kind of camp. I think, very kind of over the top, like a 1970s cop drama. And what a waste of an actor here. With what's his face?
Harris.
Yeah.
Jared.
Oh, what an
I
incredible!
thought he was great.
I thought he was good in it.
Great.
He's great because he's great in every single thing. Like every word that comes out of his mouth, he is great. But that what a waste!
There was lots of rumor, wasn't it? Because he's not even credited as a. He hasn't got a name in kind of the what do you call it, IMD or whatever. He's just called his mentor. So there was lots of rumors that he was going to either be Dr. Octopus or another character like that, and he just wasn't, which was odd. Like you say, a massive actor. I thought, in terms of his performance in the movie, I really liked him. I thought he was great in all these scenes. But like you say, criminally underused. I was expecting something else.
It didn't make sense. Like he why? Like it didn't make sense. Like why was he there? Like he didn't help the story in any way. Like him being murdered by Milo made no. Like why would Milo go from like a little bit of kind of resentment because he's not his real dad, I guess, and then to murder? Like
I think he was jealous, wasn't he? He was jealous.
Say murder again for us, Ben?
Is it not the hunger though? Is it not that he was just thirsty?
No,
Yeah,
because he was no.
Keep it.
And I guess we don't know if he's going to come back in the next movie because
Everyone's back. Bring them all back.
Yeah, he might come back as a vampire.
Do it again. Try again.
Okay, Ben. Dear Jesus, God in heaven. So I asked you earlier today if you would give a very quick rundown of the story, without your views and how you feel about it. Just tell the people who haven't seen it what this is actually about.
Yeah, I'll have to be really honest. I haven't prepared anything. I didn't have time. And also, I didn't want to research this film. I didn't want to honor Google with typing in Morbius anymore than it needs to be. I mean, you guys might have to help me out, to be honest, because I think that's part of the problem. But essentially, you've got an incredible kind of scientist who's created this kind of artificial blood, Nobel Prize winner, but he's also got a degenerative kind of disease that he lives with, and he's found a way to splice kind of genes with a certain type of bat, which will fix him, I guess. So, cue a science montage, mixing the stuff, and then
Why is that any less believable than a spider bite turning Spider-Man or gamma radiation turning the Hulk? Why are you shunning the bats?
do you want to hear the story, Luke?
Not from you, I don't. the guy dressed up as Morbius is hating on it the most. It's crazy.
Ben,
I've come as comic book Morbius. So
continue, Ben.
oh whoops, I'm now a weird Batman thing, not the good one. And so he's become this living vampire who obviously needs to have blood. Also, kind of alongside that, his childhood friend Milo, who he met at the weird orphanage thing he was at, I'm not really sure what it was, also had the same disease, and he wants to try what Morbius is using. He's like, wow, that clearly works, let me have a go. So Morbius is like, no, it's doing some weird shit, and he steals it and becomes the same creature, but unfortunately his kind of head isn't quite in check in the same way as Michael's is, and he goes on like a killing spree. Cue kind of weird gas shadow fights. There's some cops who are chasing them, not really knowing what's going on.
I enjoyed the fight scenes.
He can control bats.
It sounds pretty good to me.
And then at the end, he cures his friend, but in the process kills him. And then he makes his girlfriend a vampire when she dies, and then he flies off without really sorting the problem that he was trying to sort for the whole film. And then those after credits, which we'll talk about later.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but that sounds awesome. I mean, I think that sounds tremendous.
Yeah.
You
really sold it there.
Yeah, he sold it. Yeah, and I think I do want to come back. I do want to come back to Luke's point, Ben, because I do think he's right. I think you, and I may have picked it up wrong, Ben, but you kind of presented it a little bit negative. Some of the elements of the story there.
Sorry, you do a positive version.
That actually, in any other Marvel superhero, we just accept. Like Luke said, the spider bite is no more strange than the bat bite, is it not?
Yeah, I'm not saying that, but the difference is the way that story is told, the way the script is written, it's acted, it's gelled together, it creates a lore, it kind of explains things where they need to be explained, it explains things within subtext where they need to be explained, it kind of commits to a feeling, a notion, and ultimately, like a Spider-Man, being bit radioactive, becoming a Spider-Man superhero, that's a superhero film. This is presented as a superhero film. It's all very, very colourful and all very, but it's a very dark, the vampiric nature of this character means that you have to commit to a look, you have to commit to a feel, and if not, then this film should have done what the cartoon did. Like, I genuinely believe after watching this film, I would have preferred him to have had the suckers and to have drained plasma from people. I honestly would have preferred that.
Okay, so I think we know Ben's views. Jason, what did you think about the overall storyline?
Okay, so it was quite jumpy in places, and I did find some scenes were unnecessary for me. I liked the storyline. I thought there was enough emotion there. I really liked the playoff between Jared Leto and Matt Smith. Yeah. When he took the serum, he was trying to convince him not to take it because he cared for him, but he didn't see it that way. He thought he was just keeping it for himself, didn't he? I like the fighting scenes, the action scenes. I liked again the bit where it's slowed down in slow motion. Sometimes when you're seeing action, sometimes it's just a blur to me, and I don't know what the hell's going on. And there were some scenes like that in this film where I think, right, you're trying to follow it, but then it's slowed down and you're able to see it in like minute detail. And I really like that. I'm a big fan of that sort of Matrix style bullet time stuff anyway. And I know it's very 90s or whatever, 2000s, but I love it and I can't get enough of it.
I'm with you, Jason.
I think
we'll talk about the SFX in a little bit, but I think in terms of the story, it did feel very old school to me. It was it wasn't a complicated story by any means, really, was it?
No, and perhaps it was a little bit predictable. You could see which way it was going to go.
Yeah,
but still enjoyable.
I'm just conscious of the time, and that James Keegan said he's going to join me in a minute. Now, I'm enjoying the dynamic we've got here, so I'm a bit scared he's going to come in and kind of
let's bring it to an end. Let's bring it to an end.
It's our time.
So we've kind of just touched on that. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the effects. I have to say, I thought the makeup effects of Morbius were really good. I think he looked good as a vampire. This scene here on the trailer thing where he's jumping around and attacking people, I liked the kind of smoke effect coming after him. Ben, you mentioned the bat thing there. I love that. I love the fact that he was controlling the bats and using them as a weapon kind of thing. I thought that was
How does it compare with, say, Nightcrawler from X-Men 2? Like with
it doesn't.
Like puffy, magic-y.
Much better.
No, are you
much better? The effects are much better than Nightcrawlers.
I don't think they were. I feel like we took like 15 years off of superhero films with some of these effects. Yeah. Genuinely. I mean, I hate, correct me if I'm wrong, Luke, like where does this weird smoke visual come from? What? Because I as far as I know, there's no source material where he kind of has like smoke, like he like bamfs.
So obviously the typical Dracula thing is being able to turn to mist. Whether or not it's a play on that, again, I don't know. I've only ever really experienced Morbius just flying, not so much turning into the mist or anything. So I can't speak for this movie specifically, but vampires turning into mist is a thing.
Yeah. The one thing I didn't mind the smoke kind of thing when he was using his radar. Like I didn't mind it then, but it just honestly it looked like he was teleporting, and I was like, since when was that a bloody thing?
Well, haven't we established on other shows that you haven't got to be 100% comic accurate, have you?
No. But that's you don't have to be comic accurate, but don't just bloody introduce whole new concepts without any kind of like, laying a foundation for that. Like it was like he got a new power every bloody 10 minutes just because genes. Like the effects did look good, how they made him look skinny and frail and stuff. I will say that. And I did love the design of Morbius. Like I love that coat with the kind of purple inline, even though it made no sense that then the smoke was purple, for fuck's sake. But yeah, I like the look. But then again, it was like there were so many shots where they did that digitally. And I was like, that's a 3-hour job in the makeup chair to make that look good. Like, what, stop being so lazy, Hollywood.
So again, obviously there's strong views on either side. So I think the fairest thing to do again is a vote. So who likes the SFX?
Where's James?
Yeah, sorry. You're wrong again, Ben. Okay, so moving on. After credits, James was meant to be coming in here. Ben's kicking off. He's gone. He's off.
He's had enough. He's having a
situation.
Protest.
I'm having a situation. Sorry.
Thank God he's got pants on.
I haven't.
So James was going to talk to her about the after credits. Way up, as if by magic.
Look at that for timing.
Hey. I heard my name was mentioned.
Yeah, help
Tell
me.
me about the after credits, James.
Surrounded by idiots, James. Help me.
What's happening?
They liked it, James. They liked this goddamn film.
So it's not as bad as everybody is saying it is.
Look at
Movie, but it's not as bad as everybody's giving it shit for, you know? I'm sorry to tell you.
James, you are now my favorite. I love
Like
that.
it's on par with Venom and Venom 2. Like it's
Yeah, but what a benchmark. It's like, oh, yeah, it's on par with Hitler.
like it was never gonna be great, but it's fine.
James,
like
it's fun and it's okay, isn't it, mate?
yeah.
Did you have fun? Did you have fun, James, in that cinema?
I'm
scene?
having fun right now.
For chunks of it, yeah. like
I'm going to take chunks from you.
You know?
Okay, thank you for that, James. That was
right.
perfect.
You should have come in earlier, mate.
Perfect.
I wish I could have. I ran home.
You've played that very well then, because you've been setting it up over the last few days that you hated this film.
Yes, I did. Yeah. I wanted to be a shock. I thought I'd be the only one.
No,
this was fine.
But just so you know where we're at, James, I thought it was a good film. I didn't think it was a masterpiece. I thought it was good. Jason thought it was a good film. Didn't think it was a masterpiece, but it was good. Luke hasn't seen it, but he thinks it's a good film, but not a masterpiece. Ben is a miserable twat.
Oh, Ben.
So, James, tell me a little bit about the after credits, because I think this is an interesting bit.
So we open on a very familiar looking purple sky and cut to a prison, and the camera pans down the prison, and appearing out of thin air is Michael Keaton's Adrian Toomes. And he turns around, he's like, I hope the food is better in this joint. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, now, hang on. I thought people didn't transfer to other worlds other than the MCU in Spider-Man. And I would say Sony's answer to that is shut up.
We can do what we like.
That's the first post-credit scene. We like money.
Yeah. Plus, you don't have the monopoly on purple.
Yeah.
Exactly. Purple in. We can do what we like.
Yeah.
So then the second one, James, what happens in the second one?
The second one is the vampire who can fly faster than a moving train is driving a sports car.
Brilliant.
Because product placement, I guess. And he goes and he's standing in the middle of this spooky house in the middle of the desert, and there's something coming from the distance, and up pops the vulture. So we get two Michael Keaton post-credit scenes. And he's in a very similar suit to his Homecoming one, slightly different. Where did he get it? Who knows? Because he didn't build it, and it's Chitauri thing, which doesn't exist in this universe. But, Sony likes money. So it's okay. So, he says, I'm thinking about, how did I get here? It must have been Spider-Man. Why was it Spider-Man? Because we need to have a Spider-Man reference. And he says, I want to put a team together to do some good. And Morbius says, intriguing. And cut to black.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
Superb. Well done, James. Well done.
Yeah.
Jason, what did you think of the after scene credit scenes?
Do you know, it confused me because I saw the trailer and I remember seeing Vulture in it because he said something like, good seeing you in here, Doc. See you later, or something like that in the trailer. Yeah. That wasn't in there at all. Yeah. That was not even in there. And then you see Adrian Toomes, and I did get excited, I have to say, when I saw him turn up in the prison. And I thought, shit, this is really crossing over this is now, because obviously in Homecoming. And then on the final scene, I'm thinking Sinister Six.
So
and I'm thinking I got
ASM 1
annual and ka-ching.
Money.
Just before we move to Ben for his, I'm sure, long and insightful comments about this, what I would say is this has been ripped to shreds by miserable people on the internet. This was no worse than Sam Jackson coming in at the end of Iron Man and saying,
"No, piss off, Peter."
I disagree. I think it's.
I don't even disagree. You retract that statement.
What
Speaker, make him retract that statement.
What was so wrong with it?
It breaks. One, it's like just a clear like it's almost like fan fiction somebody created who saw a movie 10 years ago and isn't thinking about the actual logic, how that works within the world. Is the first thing. Secondly, it doesn't make any sense at all.
No,
they could have made and the weird thing is that they wrote themselves into this because they could have explained in No Way Home that different people are going to different universes, but they didn't. So this is just a whatever thing.
Luke wants to say something.
Can I just chime in for 1 second? Because of what we saw in the previous trailers, like with the scenes with Michael Keaton that Jason was mentioning that weren't in the film, we have to go on the assumption that stuff was indeed shot. Therefore, at some stage throughout the hell that was this movie of trying to get it out, because it was meant to come out in 2019 and then the pandemic struck and it just kept getting pushed back. At some point, I believe this means that Disney came in and said, oh, you can't do that or you can't do this. We're going to be making deals with you. We're going to rechange stuff and everything else. And so all of that stuff got removed and then this was shoehorned in at the last minute. And so, yes, I get what you guys are saying that there was dodgy edits and things like that. But I think there is a greater power here. There's something else going on because those scenes were clearly shot and they're not in the movie now. So I think a discussion was definitely had.
My assumption is that obviously this was originally supposed to take place before No Way Home and it's had to take place after now. And another thing, I think they flat out just tried to sneak this into the MCU as an MCU movie and Feige stepped in and said no. And they had to take out pretty much every Spider-Man reference bar at that post-credit scene.
Howard and Ben, what do you think?
It was one of the most gratuitous, sickly after credit scenes to date. It, as James said, it made no sense. It basically kind of ruined any law that Disney had kind of established with the events of No Way Home. It tore that down. But the biggest thing for me, the biggest kind of gripe was character reaction to what was happening. You know, it was the most blasé, like literally Adrian Toomes crossover multiverses, and his first reaction was to make a gag about it. Like, this is a man who is passionate about his family, like he's intelligent, like, and he made a gag. And then, you know, the whole thing with him kind of somehow getting a vulture, you know, what, because ultimately what you've done is you've now skipped a whole new origins and just literally done that off screen and hoping that we're just going to swallow that pill. And like, it literally looks like they're going to try and create like an anti-hero Sinister Six, like a Stupendous Six, maybe. Good God, what is happening? Like, Craven is next. You know, I think that's going to be presented as an anti-hero as well. Venom obviously is the lethal protector. We're getting a Stupendous Six, guys.
I agree. I think they are trying to create their own, I don't know, Avengers setup, aren't using these characters as good as it is. Yeah. Okay, guys. So we've mentioned a few of the scenes that have been cut out. So there's that whole bottom scene there with the Spider-Man murderer bit that vanished.
A lot of people are annoyed about that, aren't they?
Yeah. Ben, that's the scene with the guy with the metal arm kind of thing going on. I don't remember that scene at all in the woods.
No, it's not in. Not in there.
So I think when there's been a lot of cuts to this film, which may have, well, it definitely has, I suppose, impacted on some of the story beats and the continuity, I guess, of it.
It's my understanding that the Oscorp building's gone as well, and
from
Spider-Man said about the Rhino and Black
no,
Cat.
the newspaper.
There is still,
the director said that the Spider-Man poster in that bottom shot. He just didn't know about that. They just put that in the
Yeah,
trailer. Like
he said he had no idea why it was in the trailer, did he?
He was surprised.
Always a good sign of a film that the director's not even watching signing off trailers for.
Well, they don't get a choice sometimes.
Well, yeah, and also like the editing and the directing is so far apart and so different. It's a whole different team. Like you don't know who's chopping those trailers together and what bits they're using.
Yeah.
Blindly defending this film.
But I think a lot of people saw that scene there with Jared Leto walking past the Spider-Man, which is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man done right.
Yeah.
And they've seen it as clickbait almost, because people are thinking, right, there's going to be reference to Spider-Man in this movie. Let's go see the movie. Yeah. And I think people are pissed off then that scene wasn't even in there.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like a bloody YouTube thumbbell, Jason. It's a clickbait YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah.
They did it to us.
I don't think they did it intentionally to mislead. I think there was a meeting afterwards with Disney, and they said, "No, please, we're going to do something else. Let's change this."
Yeah.
I think they did it intentionally to mislead, and just get asses in seats. To be honest, because Sony just kind of does that.
Even more simple than that, James. Do you not think it's a case of nobody probably knows who Morbius is? Let's stick Spider-Man in it. That'll get the kids thinking, "Oh, this is a Spider-Man
and
movie."
if this movie's doing well in the box office, if it wasn't for the attachment to Marvel and Spider-Man, this would have sunk.
Okay, guys. So summing up, what we're going to do is we'll go to each of us to give our succinct final thoughts and a score out of 10. All right, Ben. I'm going to start with you.
This could potentially contribute to the inevitable superhero fatigue of general movie audiences, and that upsets me deeply. It set everything back by nearly 20 years in terms of effects, script, acting, and the overall picture. This is one of, if not the worst superhero movie to date.
Oof.
It's a solid 2 fangs out of 10 for Ben.
Tremendous. Love it. Jason, are you going to be slightly more measured? So
yeah. Okay. You can see my face close up. This is weird. I don't. Right. It's not a great movie. Okay. It's an okay movie and great film to take the kids because there wasn't much gore or blood in it. Although it is a 15, so I expected a bit more violence, perhaps a bit more gore, being a 15. But then, of course, grounded the fact that it is still a Marvel movie, and they have the intention of releasing it on home video, as we like to call us oldies like to call it, and streaming services. And there are going to be kids watching it, knowing that there's a link to Spidey. In its first week, I think globally, it's taken 84 million. So $84 million. It's not a failure by any means, and that opens up possibilities then of a sequel, and certainly perhaps green lighting a future movie where there's going to be a team up of other villains. So overall, guys, I would give it a very strong 7. It's not, like I say, it's not an amazing movie, but I'm going for a 7 out of 10 for me.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jason. So, Luke, you haven't seen it, so I'm afraid your views don't matter. James.
So, like, there's, and it's a bit sad that I couldn't go through bit by bit to give some of my thoughts on it, but like, there's some good things in this. Like Jared Leto, I don't think is bad in this by any means. I think the script he's given is pretty poor, but his performance is fine. I thought Matt Smith was great in this. Loved his character. Some weird sort of visual design choices with him, but I thought an entertaining character to watch. Like there are much worse movies you could sit down for 2 hours and watch than this. So like I don't think it's awful. It's not particularly good, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, and that's what a lot of people seem to be saying, like Ben. So yeah, for me it's like I think 6. You know, there's much better movies, but there's worse. So
very measured. I like that, James. So, for me, I'm going to make myself big. Look. For me, I was worried going into this because I'd heard so much negativity that I went in almost wanting it to be rubbish. And that was the mindset I went into. I do think that Luke's right. We spoke previously about this, about fanboy mentality, sometimes going in and having unrealistic expectations. I enjoyed the movie. My measure for a lot of these films is to try and remove myself from the fanboy and look at what the people around us are doing. So I went with my 14-year-old son, my wife, and my parents, and every one of them enjoyed the movie. They said the same as James. It's not a masterpiece. It's not amazing. It's an all right popcorn movie to go and watch on a Friday afternoon or whatever. So for me, it's by no means a car crash. It's by no means a masterpiece. It's around about a 7, I think. So I think it's an average movie. So I've removed myself from the stream there by accident.
Oh, well, to be honest, I think it's for the best after giving it 7.
So I think using my extremely superb math skills, I reckon that on average out of our panel, then we've given it, what, about a 7? 2 7s, a 6, and a, yeah?
That's probably average. Is 5.
I don't want to be associated with that average.
Ben's 2 will drag it down. Okay, so final thoughts then, guys. This was a decent movie. I think the majority of will probably think, other than Ben. Worth a watch, perhaps, if it's on an afternoon or on Sky or whatever. Okay, right.
I don't think I'd be in a rush to watch it again.
Yeah, I agree.
I may never watch it again, but I had.
Yeah,
but I'm glad I've seen it.
Yeah, and on the other side of that, Jason, I would go and see a second one.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't rush to rewatch this, but I would go and see Morbius 2. I enjoyed this more than Venom, if I'm honest. Yeah. Okay, guys. So thank you very much. We'll just round up by talking a little bit about what we've got coming out. Jason, what's this video?
Well, it's talking about what happened to my purple one, isn't it? You know, what did I do in the end? I mean, I have to say that video that I put out about my restored X-Men 94 was perhaps the one that I had the most responses from, with loads of people sort of suggesting what I should do with it, you know, including sticking it up my arse. That was one of the comments.
I'm sorry about that, Jason. I've been drinking. I
had to delete that one. In fact, it didn't even get published because it was actually withheld. You know, you if something is like a swear word on there, you've got to review it. So that was
I open up to all abuse. Like for me, comment's a comment. I'll take that abuse. Bring it on.
That's engagement. Yeah,
exactly. So this was this is an update on what I decided to do. No spoilers.
So I've watched this, Jason, and it's a great video. So I would encourage people to go and watch it. Ben, 2 videos there.
Yeah, so my latest unboxing is Nightmare Before Christmas doll set, the Lock, Shock and Barrel set from Jump Planning. They're pretty much the same as the Diamond Select one, so please do go and check that out. And then yesterday evening, we had our episode 2 review for Moon Knight, which is a live weekly Moon Knight review show. So please do tune in live, 7:30 p.m. on a Thursday, BST, to catch up with that. And I hope to get out a C3PO Sideshow Collectibles unboxing at some point over the weekend, potentially.
Tremendous. Excellent.
Can I ask what is Jump Planning?
It's like a Japanese company. So I think licensing wise, Diamond Select can't distribute in certain places. So it's like Japan. It's just like a kind of header for the Japan Disney kind of range.
Got you.
Yep. Tremendous. Thank you very much, Ben. James, anything you want to add?
Yeah, so again, my Horizon review, it'll be done eventually.
Come on, we're waiting for it.
I know, but I barely have
2 years.
I barely have time to pop up on these shows, let alone do my own thing, you know. So I'll find the time.
It's on its way. It's on its way, I'm sure.
It'll be worth
Luke, who are you upsetting this week?
Well, I'm trying not to upset anyone. I'm trying to reunite us creative types here on YouTube and let people know that even if you have a channel that is under 1,000 subscribers, that's okay.
Tremendous. Thank you
Not
very
for
much.
me, it's not.
Yeah, watch that video and it makes a lot of sense. Good video. Okay, so on my channel on Sunday, I'm releasing a video about some comic book pickups I got from a toy fair. And on Saturday night at 10 o'clock, Jason, I think, is that right?
10 o'clock.
Yeah, 10 o'clock
PM.
over on Superpower Review, Kev's channel. We're doing What's That Comic Book. So I'd encourage you all to come and watch that one. That's 10 o'clock tomorrow night. And then on the 26th of April, I'm very excited about that. We've got What If Thor. So really, really looking forward to that one. I think that's going to be a cracking show. Okie dokie. So pretty much on the hour, guys. Thank you very much for your involvement in tonight. I always enjoy it when we've got conflicting opinions. I think it adds
It's
a bit
really
of
good, actually.
interest to the show.
Always.
So thank you for that. So yeah, that's been really good fun. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll say good night and say bye. So thanks, everybody. Take care.
2 thumbs up.